Welcome back aboard Skua. This week, we take you on a beautiful 3-day offshore sail. We see all sorts of conditions, from flat seas to 38 knot gusts, and we are blissfully unaware that we have ripped our chain plates out in the strong gusts. Our sail starts in Gozo, an island belonging to the Maltese archipelago, precisely in Dwedra Bay. We reluctantly leave this beautiful empty anchorage to head to Sardinia, as the forecast calls for a rare southeasterly breeze. Gozo's wild coast looks even more impressive in the morning light. Good morning. As you probably know, we are on a mission to sail to our wedding, which is in southwestern Sardinia. So we've only been in Malta for 4 days and we're off again. It's been pretty special, especially the anchorage, Dwedra Bay. And we're a bit gutted we can't see Valletta. It looked absolutely incredible, but the wedding is coming and we can't be late, be a bit rude. So we are headed towards either Sicily or Sardinia today. I think we are going to point at Pantelleria, which is a tiny island northwest of Malta, and then take the latest weather window from there and see if it is feasible to go to either places. And the wind is a little bit on the light side, but apparently easterly and southerly winds are quite rare from Malta. Prevailing wind is northwesterly, and therefore we're taking this weather window. I'm hoping we can get to at least Sicily, but we'll see. Pantelleria doesn't look like it's got any anchorages really, it's all rocks, so we can't really stop there. But yeah, should be a fun couple of days of sailing, and we'll take you along. As soon as we're clear of the rocks and fishing boats, we raise the sails. Then it's time for some much needed coffee.
There's a little bit of wind out here, we're probably making half of it, but we've got the full main and the staysail out because it's quite close to being on the nose, and the staysail is sheeted closer to the centre line, so it's better for upwind stuff. And yeah, we're making our course towards Pantelleria. Is that the right pronunciation? Pantelleria. Yeah, Pantelleria. And yeah, it's looking good so far. Sea is really nice and calm. It's a really nice morning. Nice temperature, especially now the breeze has picked up. It's a little bit warm.
It's a gorgeous day. There isn't one cloud in the sky, and the sea is incredibly calm. The area between Sicily and Tunisia is a rather busy shipping and fishing area, but most tankers stick to the shipping lanes, so it's easy to sail outside of their routes.
It's been a bit of a frustrating afternoon. We've kind of been on the cusp of being able to sail, but not quite. So it's been around sort of 12 knots forward of the beam if we've got the engine on, but most of that is like apparent wind, or nearly half of that is apparent wind. If we put the engine in neutral, then the wind speed drops to about 8 knots, 7 knots, and then the boat speed drops to about 3 knots. But with the engine on, we're doing 5 knots, which is the speed we really need to do to make this weather window work. And because, like lots of the time in the Med, the weather windows are very short, so we need to kind of get northwest at a speed of around 5 knots with enough time for that wind to then take us into Sardinia, where we're going to.
It's dinner time. We have some pasta cooking in the galley and the sun's just gone down. It's just after 8 p.m. I think the sea condition at the moment, so the fact that there is a bit of a swell and the fact that the wind changed and turned into the right direction are very promising. We should be getting into the weather window, basically into the wind within the next couple of hours. If by midnight we still have the engine on, we're just gonna have to change course and head for Sicily. It's still progress getting into Sicily rather than Sardinia. Just means that it's a bit more rushed towards our wedding, but it's alright. Don't ever mix plans with sailing. It's a little bit stressful. If there is one time you can have a plan, is to get married, so that's worth it.
So even though we're running out of most things on the boat to eat, we've still got tons of pasta. So it's going to keep us full on our night watches, hopefully.
We have company at night, with a few ships and fishing vessels getting close-ish, but it seems most of them aren't on our route. It's 11:30 and I could turn off the engine. We have between 10 and 15 knots of wind on the stern, doing between 3.8 and 4.5 knots, and so hopefully that means we can go all the way to Pantelleria, get the new forecast and move on. Really exciting. It's so nice not to have the engine on. That's incredible. I love to hear the sound of the waves and the sea, and my ears are feeling very grateful right now.
I had a really good sleep on my off watch, and when I came out, Elena had set the boat up onto a broad reach, turned the engine off, and we were going along at sort of 5 knots. So that was really nice. We are in sight of Pantelleria now. It's bigger than I expected. There's quite a few lights there, so soon we'll get phone signal. not because we care so much about checking our phones, but because we want an updated weather forecast.
As we approached Pantelleria, the wind quickly picked up to 38 knots. So we're just passing Pantelleria, as you can see in the background, and there's been a bit of a wind acceleration zone as soon as we arrived, and we have seen up to 38 knots of wind. Had to dash to reef and all of that. Thankfully Ryan was looking at the forecast, so we could both be on deck, and would have been a bit overwhelming on my own. Yeah, it's looking pretty good in terms of weather, and hopefully this is just the wind bending around the island and we can keep going. We have no idea at this point in time, but these gusts, combined with us being over canvassed for a minute or so, caused 2 of our chain plates to rip out. It turns out that they were badly glassed in years before we bought Skua, even though the surveyor had okayed them. We were blissfully unaware of this all the way to our destination. We were extremely lucky. The hole in the deck through which the chain plates connect to the hull was smaller than the chain plate knees, so they didn't pull up through the deck, which could have dismasted the boat. You can watch us discover the problem in the next episode. So we're crossing some really big shipping lanes. So the problem is that we are doing maybe a quarter of their speed. They're going 20-25 knots. And unlike crossing a road where you just look both ways and you just cross, it's like you do one little step and then you avoid this car, and then you do another step and there's a new car coming the other way, and yeah, it's going to take a while to cross the shipping lane, and there will be a few CPAs to keep an eye on, but so far we are clear of the first 3 or 4.
We are going over an area of shoals at the moment. It's about between 60 and 80 meters deep, but some areas it's down to like 12 or 20 meters deep, so we're avoiding the 12 to 20 meter deep bits, staying over the deepest bits that we can find really, because obviously with the amount of water that comes running up the Sicilian Channel, the kind of area between Sicily and Tunisia, the waves really pile up over the shallower bits, and especially because Elena's been really struggling to sleep on this passage and I really wanted her to get some sleep. I've been trying to keep it as comfortable as possible.
Look at us having a great time, completely unaware of the fact that 2 of our starboard chain plates are detached. In retrospect, we're so happy we didn't know about the chain plates failing while sailing offshore, alternating watches. There's too much time to think and worry over something like this while out at sea. We're also a little short on diesel, so we can't just motor all the way to land. We're so incredibly lucky not to have been dismasted and for the accident to have happened in the Mediterranean, rather than somewhere remote or in the open ocean. How was today?
Not very comfortable. We spent most of the day going over the shoal patches in the Sicilian Channel, and even for the Med the waves were choppy and steep, so it's not been not very comfortable in the cockpit. and as well there's been lots of waves splashing over the cockpit, so the camera's been away for most of the day, so it doesn't get covered in salt water. I think it got covered in salt water anyway, but yeah, so it's also been on and off, very windy. We had over 30 knots a couple of times, and that wind was kind of funneling around the corner of Sicily, so we jived and headed west, and now it's a bit more chilled out.
Good morning. We are about 80 nautical miles from our destination and the wind pretty much died. We have 7 knots. So we have the engine on takeover and 3 sails out. Just put out the Yankee because when I got on watch it was just ghosting and making a lot of noise. But now it seems to be a bit more settled with 7 to 8 knots. Just gonna have to appreciate the fact that there's not a big swell anymore. It's really nice. Occasionally we get a really big wave and roll like crazy, but it's just a gentle rolling.
It is, I think, day 3. Just gone lunchtime. I had an amazing sleep. Must have slept about 9 hours last night, I think, between all the different watches I was off, which was really good. And yeah, feel pretty fresh and eager today. There's a very light breeze right on the nose, so we've turned away 10 degrees and we've got the staysail and the full main up. So it's pretty comfy on board. There's a light cloud today as well, which is actually really nice because it takes the edge off the heat of the sun. We should get in sometime late tonight or early tomorrow morning, so we'll be anchoring in the dark probably, but we've been to this anchorage loads of times and it's a huge sand patch, so not even a patch, it's just like a huge acres of sand, so that should be fine.
The breeze got lighter and lighter through the afternoon, so we have to turn on the engine. It's really great light at the moment. You never really get used to such amazing sunsets at sea. It's really great. I think we only have 28 nautical miles to go, so there's that special feeling of end of a passage, anticipation for getting in and tidy up the boat, get it looking nice again, not living in a mess anymore, and just resting. And yeah, I love all of those things. We make landfall in complete darkness, but luckily we know this bay very well, so we drop the anchor, dig it in, and go straight to bed. So we arrived here last night into Villa Simius, the only corner of the Med with 0 boats in August, and the water is fantastic. Just had a nice swim to cool down. we got Skua back into shape. She's all tidy and clean inside and out, and we've just been basically doing chores today and relaxing a little bit. Had 2 or 3 coffees each. And yeah, like, it looks like we've made the perfect weather window, because from now on there's a few mistrals coming, so the wind from Malta to here would be strong and against us, which is never a good experience in the Med because the waves are really steep and choppy. So very glad to be here, and we don't have the stress to get to California on time for our wedding, and just gonna be able to relax, do some work, get Skua looking nice and shiny for our families when they arrive, and yeah, just getting ready for the big day.
Thanks for watching. Join us next week to watch us discover just how badly our chain plates were bedded in and what we're doing about it. To get access to extra videos and behind the scenes content, join our Patreon crew from $1 per month.